Compound interest is something you learn in math class. There's a formula and all that fun stuff. But sometimes it's hard to visualize. So I thought it would be best to just show you how it worked. So what compound interest is that you start off with a certain amount of money. So let's say you start off with a certain amount of money, and every month that money gets like 10% added to it. So that's your like 10% interest. But what happens next month is that money that you got gets incorporated as a part of your original amount, and now you get billed interest based on that new total that you have. And each month that gets incorporated into your total, and you build interest on the next part. So you can see it's going to get larger and larger. That's sort of the visual. Those of you who like numbers, this is sort of what the numbers look like. So for example, I'll walk you through here, don't stress. How do I zoom in? So for example, this is your month count. So in month one, let's say you put in $100. So in the previous example, we talked about having putting in $100 as your fund, as your investment money per month for that first month. So that means at the end of the first month, let's say you have something that generates 10% interest. So the reason why I chose 10% interest is because if you look at the S&P 500 returns, we're looking at in the last year, actually, this is about 33% in the last year. Let's see what about the last 5. Oh, let's do max. Oh, Jesus. It kind of doesn't illustrate my point, but 10% is already a very conservative measurement. So let's say your investments go up 10%, because not all of your investments will go up 33%. Some of your investments might go down. So it sort of averages out. So let's say that your interest value is at 10%, which translates to 0.1 in terms of decimal places. So for your $100 investment, you get $10 back. So the next month, what compound interest means is that in month number 2, your now total is the sum of the previous 2 numbers. So it's added up together. Your total is $110. So the interest that you earn is going to be $11. So it's still 0.1, 10% interest, which is 0.1, but the interest you get is $11. Then the next month, in month number 3, it's going to take the total that you have, so the amount of money you had, plus the interest you earned, which gives you a total of $121. Then you earn 10% interest. I made a mistake. But that's okay. It'll still illustrate the point. But let's say you then earn 10% interest here. Then you have $12.01. Then the next month, it's going to sum up your total from the previous month plus the interest that you earned. That's your new total. And then 10% of that, and so on and so forth. So at first you're like, oh, okay, sure, what does that mean? But after, oh, this is done on weeks 2. Oh, I did something bad. Let me just quickly change the formula here. Is equal to this divided by 12. So after 12 months, you're looking at 1 year, and then let's just see what happens if I sort of really go down and I generate a lot of years. So this is 32 years already. That's why it's a little numbers crazy. So, and this is why it's good to get comfortable with Excel as you get older as well, so you can do this kind of modeling for yourself. So the second column here, if you remember, this is our month column. So after 12 months, my $100 would have turned into $285, and that's 1 year. So after 3 years, I would have $2,000, and so on and so forth. So I did make a little bit of a mistake in terms of the compounding, but you'll see it kind of generates the same overall picture. So let's say we do this for a long time. So let me zoom out here. I do this for a long time, years and years and years. Where's my graph? Add a graph. Yeah. So this is the plot after it's plotted. So you can see like the bottom part almost look like nothing is changing, and then there is a growth, right? So those of you who are really good at math, this is your exponential function, which is why if you do use the mathematical equation to calculate for this, which you totally can, but many of you will know I'm not the strongest at math. So like this was exponential functions, and calculating interest always confused me. I just did it to get a good grade and I moved on from it. But you can definitely use the your math calculations to do that as well. But I wanted to show you what this looks like in real life with like actual money numbers. These are like graphics other people have made, and I think it's a little bit better than the graphic that I made. So one thing you want to keep in mind is that in this example, we only put in $100. Like this all came from that initial $100 that we put in. We didn't put in more. You can continue to put in more. You can put in $100 every month, and you can imagine how much money you're going to get. But let's say we just put in that $100. So that's this initial investment line here, right? So the initial investment never changed. In the beginning, this person, it looks like they maybe invested like $2,000 or $4,000 or something like that. That investment didn't change. Now imagine what the graph will look like if you slowly increase your initial investment too. But the part that we're focusing on for this video is the compound interest part. So because your interest is compounding based on the amount you received in the previous month or the previous year, it keeps growing in an exponential way. And towards the end, the longer you invest, the more powerful compounding is. So you keep that $100 in there and you don't touch it until you retire, and you see how much money you're getting. Yeah. Now with $2,000 or $4,000, whatever this is, this person is only getting back like 90 grand. You're like, I'm not going to retire with $90,000. Yeah, but that's a $6,000 investment. So now imagine if every month or every year you put in $6,000, what that is going to look like in 40 years. It's going to be a lot of money, and you do want a lot of money as you go into retirement, as you get old, because maybe you have kids, maybe you get sick, maybe you want to travel and you stop working. So then what's your source of income? This money. This money is your source of income when you're 80 years old and you don't have a job anymore and you can't work because your knees hurt and your back hurt and you don't understand the new technology that the young people have. Yes. So it's smart to start thinking about compounding interest and start putting your investments in something that allows you to compound your interest. And that's your little mini lesson on compound interest.